63% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck right now. Not broke people. Not uneducated people. People with W-2s and LinkedIn profiles and 401ks they barely touch. A 27-year-old UX designer named Priya in Charlotte, North Carolina, making $74,000 a year, still can't figure out where the money went by the 28th of every month. Rents $1,000, $650. Car insurance, student loans, groceries that cost 30% more than they did 3 years ago. And at the end of it all, she's got maybe $190 sitting in a Chase checking account earning basically zero interest. That's the reality. And nobody wants to say it out loud. So let's talk about the only real exit from that loop. Not a second job. Not a side hustle where you're still trading your hours. A business that actually runs without you. One that generates cash while you're asleep, while you're at the gym, while you're doing literally anything else. And no, I'm not about to sell you a course or tell you to start a Shopify store. I'm going to break down the actual mechanics of how this works, why most people never get there, and what the first real move looks like in dollars and cents. Here's the thing nobody explains properly. There are basically two kinds of income in the U.S. tax code. Earned income, that's your W-2, your salary, the money you get for showing up. And then there's passive income. The IRS literally defines it differently. It's taxed differently. It behaves differently in your life. When you build something that generates passive income, you're not just making money. You're building an asset, something with a value independent of your time. And that gap between people who have assets and people who only have income is the actual wealth gap in America. Not education, not luck, assets. So what does a business that runs without you actually look like? Let me give you the mechanics. Take a 24-year-old named Deshaun in Atlanta who works at a logistics company making $58,000 a year. He starts a niche content site, not a blog in 2009, a modern authority site, around a specific topic with real search volume. Let's say it's around personal finance for truck drivers because he knows that world. He spends 6 months publishing content, doing basic SEO, building traffic. Month 7, he applies to Mediavine for display ads. At 50,000 monthly sessions, Mediavine pays somewhere between $15 and $30 RPM revenue per 1,000 visitors. At 80,000 monthly sessions and a $20 RPM, that's $1,000 a month. He didn't clock in that day to earn it. He earned it from work he did 8 months ago. That's the model. Create the asset once. Let it compound. And unlike a savings account sitting at 0.01% in some big bank checking product, or even a high-yield savings account at Ally or Marcus sitting at roughly 4.5% right now, an asset like this can have an effective annual yield that's wild. $1,600 a month on a site that costs $3,000 to build in time and tools. That's over 600% annual ROI. But here's where the math gets messy. Most people who try to build this kind of business quit somewhere between month 3 and month 5. Not because they're lazy, because they're measuring the wrong thing. They're checking their Google Analytics every day, watching for revenue when the asset isn't finished yet. You can't harvest a crop you haven't grown. The mental model has to shift from, am I making money this week, to am I building something that will make money in year 2 and year 3? That's a fundamentally different operating system for your brain. And most people's brains aren't trained for it because school, jobs, every financial system we grew up in, all of it runs on immediate exchange. You work today. You get paid Friday. The whole cultural infrastructure around money in the US is wired for linear thinking. And that is the real trap. That's the thing I want you to sit with for a second. It's not that people don't know about passive income. They've heard it 1,000 times. The problem is that every institution around them, their employer, their bank, their credit card company, is financially incentivized to keep them on the linear treadmill. Think about it. Your bank makes money when you carry a balance. Your employer makes money from the spread between what you produce and what they pay you. Your FICO score, the 3-digit number that determines your financial life, 670 is fair, 740 is good, 800 is excellent. And the difference between fair and excellent on a mortgage rate is sometimes a full percentage point. Even your FICO score is essentially a metric of how reliably you participate in the debt system, not how wealthy you are. None of these systems are designed to help you exit the loop. They're designed to keep you operating inside it. So okay, let's get to the actual exit. Step 1, and this is tonight, open a separate high-yield savings account if you don't have one. Marcus by Goldman Sachs or Ally, both running around 4.4 to 4.6% APY right now. Not Fidelity or Vanguard for this, those are for your investments. This is just your operating cushion. Move $1,000 to $2,000 there as your business seed fund. If that number feels impossible, start with $300. The amount doesn't matter as much as the separation. You're creating a physical boundary between your living money and your building money. Step 2. Pick one business model with a known passive income ceiling and a known time to revenue range. Not the sexiest option. The most boring one that fits your existing knowledge. Digital products, think Notion templates, Canva packs, lemon squeezy PDF guides, can start generating revenue in 30 to 60 days. Content sites take 6 to 14 months but scale bigger. Online courses built on a platform like Teachable or Gumroad sit in the middle. Each of these can eventually run without you once the content, the funnel, or the product is done. Step 3. Calculate your minimum viable asset number. This is different from a savings goal. Ask yourself, what monthly passive income number would change your relationship with your job? For most people in the 25-35 range, it's not total financial independence. It's just enough to have negotiating power. $800 a month passive means you can take a lower salary for a job you actually like. $2,000 a month means you can quit the thing that's draining you. $5,000 a month means the W-2 becomes optional. Pick your number. Write it down. Now work backwards from that to the asset that can realistically hit it. And while you're building this thing, max out your Roth IRA through Fidelity or Vanguard. $7,000 a year in 2024, that's the IRS limit. Because the business asset and the investment account aren't competing. They're two parallel tracks. The Roth grows tax-free. Your business asset builds equity and cash flow. Together, they're what actually gets you out. One more thing, and this is going to sound blunt. The business that runs without you is not passive from day one. That phrase, passive income, has become this weird mythology that makes people think there's some magic system that requires no upfront effort. There isn't. The passive part comes later. The beginning is very active. It's just that the work you're doing in the beginning isn't clocking in. It's building. There's a difference, and that difference is everything. Priya in Charlotte, she started a digital resource site for UX designers, Figma templates, wireframe kits, design system starter packs, selling them at $19 to $47 a pop through Gumroad. 8 months in, she's moving about 60 units a month without running a single ad. That's somewhere between $1,100 and $2,800 a month on top of her salary. Her Chase account doesn't hit zero on the 28th anymore. That's the model. Build the asset. Let it run. Stack the Roth on top. If the standard financial content you've been fed has kept you exactly where you started, hit subscribe.